Hey guys, tonight we're going somewhere, well, not exactly family friendly, straight into a medieval brothel. Think it's lace and romance? Spoiler alert, it's not. It's lice, rotten perfume, and a daily fight to not end up sleeping under the table. So before we begin, put on your headphones, set a nice, comfortable volume, hit that like button if you enjoy this kind of dark history, and subscribe if you haven't yet. There's plenty more misery to explore together. And tell me in the comments, where are you watching from, and what time is it right now? Always fun to see the late night crowd tuning in for tales of medieval filth. All right, ready? Let's begin, The mistake begins the moment you push open that door, if you can call it a door. It's a warped, half-rotten plank hanging from rusted hinges, with a strip of red cloth so faded and filthy it's more gray than scarlet now, sagging over the threshold like a tired tongue. No bell chimes, no cheerful greetings, just a sour waft of air so thick with old smoke, sweat, and stale beer that you nearly choke on your first breath inside. You thought you might find a place of velvet drapes and seductive mystery. What you find is an oversized, dim barn that smells like it's been hosting livestock long before it started hosting people. You stand blinking in the gloom. The windows are shuttered tight, probably nailed shut long ago. The few candles gutter weakly against the smoke that curls from a central hearth, little more than a pit of smoldering embers, surrounded by low benches and even lower expectations. The floor is uneven stone and dirt, sticky underfoot. The air hums faintly with flies. Somewhere toward the back, a man is snoring loud enough to rattle the pewter mugs on the shelf above him. He is not alone. Two more. Shapes are sprawled across a sagging table, arms flung out, mouths open, the dregs of last night's sour ale pooling beneath their faces. You haven't even been noticed yet. That will change soon enough. A shape detaches from the shadowed doorway behind the bar. Short, wide, wrapped in layers of wool and faded brocade that look, and probably are, stitched together from a dozen discarded garments. The woman's face is a map of deep lines, one eye narrower than the other, her mouth a thin, perpetual sneer. This is Mamka, though whether anyone ever knew her real name is doubtful. Around here, she is the law, the landlord, the enforcer, and the accountant all in one. Her reputation preceded her. Shrewd as a moneylender, mean as a starving dog, and about as likely to forgive a debt. She looks you up and down with the expression one reserves for meat that might be a little off but could still go in the stew. So she drawls, voice like gravel soaked in vinegar. You want to work here? It isn't really a question. It's an opening move in a game whose rules you haven't been told and which you cannot possibly win. You try to answer, to stammer out something about needing work, but Mamka waves a ring-laden hand to cut you off. Save it. You got legs, a mouth, and you still got most of your teeth. That's good enough. She turns and beckons sharply. You have just been hired, though the word hired is generous for what's about to happen to you. There is no paperwork, no contracts, no terms of employment. The house owns you the moment you step inside. You pay for your bed. You pay for your meals. You pay for the threadbare rags they will call dresses. You pay for the cheap wine you are expected to pour for the customers and drink yourself if you want to keep up appearances. You pay for soap, for scented oils, if you can call them that, for candles, for every stitch and smear meant to turn you into something passably desirable. You will start in debt. You will stay in debt. If you live long enough to crawl out of debt, Mamka will find a way to drag you back under. She motions for you to follow, and you're given a tour. If the word can apply to a place where each room is a grim variation of the same theme. The main hall is where the customers drink, play dice, brawl, and occasionally pass out under the table. The private rooms are small, dark, and barely private at all. Nothing but ragged curtains separating the narrow cots. The upstairs is a creaking warren of cramped spaces where the girls sleep when they can and hide when they must. You will be shown a corner with a mattress so thin it might as well be a sack of leaves. You will be told this is now your home. Congratulations. And then come the rules. There are many. You must not refuse a client unless Mamka says so. You must not drink more than you can handle. Though you must always pretend to enjoy yourself. You must smile, unless it's a known brawler, in which case you must smile carefully. You must not steal from the house, though the house will certainly steal from you. You must not get caught fighting with the other girls, though fighting is inevitable. You must pay for everything, from broken mugs to torn, skirts to lost hairpins. And when you get sick, because you will, the apothecary's fee will be added to your debt. And the clientele? Mamka rattles off categories with a snort. Dockhands, tanners, cutthroats, disgraced apprentices, monks seeking to minister, and of course soldiers between campaigns. The roughest and most dangerous breed. Sometimes merchants drift in, sometimes foolish young squires looking for adventure. None of them are safe. All of them expect more than they'll pay for. The other girls drift into view as you're processed, a trio of hardened veterans eyeing you with mingled amusement and disdain. You're a competition now, fresh enough to be a curiosity, naive enough to be a target. One chews a sprig of something that smells vaguely minty, perhaps to mask the breath. Another sharpens a hairpin into a weapon. The youngest, barely more than a child, gives you a look that is both a warning and a welcome to hell. Mamka claps her hands. You start tonight, she says, as if that explains anything. It does. You will be expected to dress, to smile, to entertain, and to serve, whether you know how or not. No training, no guidance, no kindness. You were fool enough to walk through the door. Now you are one of them. And so here you stand, in the dim half-light of a medieval brothel, surrounded by smoke, sweat, and shadow. You thought you were finding work. What you found is a cage, and the key was never in your hands. Now that you are officially employed, if one can call this employment and not indentured misery, you might imagine that you'll be assigned a proper room. Perhaps something with a wooden door, a small bed, even a window to let in a breeze. You'd be wrong, of course. Your new home is a corner upstairs, partitioned by sagging bits of cloth and a crooked wooden screen that barely reaches shoulder height. Privacy, as you quickly learn, is an illusion. You will hear every cough, every whispered curse, every creaking board as the other girls shift and murmur in the dark. The stairs leading up are a hazard unto themselves. The wood is warped and groaning beneath your weight. The railing long since snapped and discarded. You climb carefully, one hand against a soot-streaked wall, praying that today is not the day the entire staircase gives way beneath you. When you reach the top, breathless more from the stench than the climb, you are greeted by a narrow, crooked hallway lit only by the dim glow of a single candle stub stuck in a wall sconce blackened with smoke. The air here is thicker, warmer, dense with a mixture of old sweat, unwashed linen, spilled wine, and something metallic beneath it all. A constant, lingering hint of blood. Your room lies at the far end, through a tangle of curtains that have not seen water or soap in years. Mamka sweeps them aside with a grunt, gestures sharply. Inside, a thin mattress lies directly on the floor, patched in places with rags. A coarse woolen blanket, threadbare and moth-eaten, is folded at one end. There is no pillow. A cracked ceramic bowl rests in the corner, meant for washing, though the water in it is cloudy with old grime. No mirror, not that you would want to see. Yourself in one after a week here. A single shelf holds a battered comb, a chipped cup, and an old, rusted hairpin. That's the house kit, Mamka says dryly. If you want better, you buy it. If you can't buy it, you steal it. But be careful who you steal from. The other girls guard their paltry treasures fiercely. There is no camaraderie here, no sisterhood of suffering. Each is out for herself, and you, the newest, the weakest, are fresh prey. Beneath the mattress, you will soon discover dwell the real long-term residents of this establishment. Lice, endless, stubborn, immune to every bitter herb or scalding wash. The girls spend hours picking at each other's scalps, combing through bedding, burning old straw in desperate attempts to slow the infestation. It never works. If you stay long enough, you too will accept the constant itch as part of life. Until then, prepare for sleepless nights scratching at your own skin. Your belongings, what little you brought, are stuffed into a rough burlap sack shoved under the mattress. There's no chest, no lock, no safe place to hide anything. What isn't nailed down will be borrowed, and what is borrowed rarely returns. Coins vanish mysteriously. Dresses are swapped and altered without permission. Perfumes are diluted, powders stolen. You will learn quickly. Trust no one. And yet, despite this squalor, the upstairs is considered a privilege compared to the floor below. At least here you are spared the sight of the drunken, staggering clients who haunt the main hall at all hours. At least here you can collapse for a few moments between shifts without fear of a hand groping you awake. The thin wooden planks beneath your feet may tremble with the noise below, but they remain for now, a fragile barrier between you and the worst of it. The other girls pass you in the narrow corridor with wary glances. Some size you up, calculating how much competition you represent. Others barely acknowledge you. They've seen too many fresh faces come and go. Many don't last the week. Some disappear without a word. Some leave in the arms of the constable, bloodied and broken. Some simply vanish, and no one asks why. Mamka will not answer questions. She will simply assign their corner to the next unlucky girl who stumbles through her door. There is no schedule posted, no clear shift. You work when called. You sleep when you can. The house runs on chaos, greed, and grim necessity. If a client arrives and wants company, you go, no matter the hour, no matter your state. If you protest, Mamka will remind you, sharply, that you are here to serve, not to rest. The nights are the worst. Upstairs in the stifling dark, you lie awake listening. The groan of beds, the muffled cries, the crash of mugs below, the occasional thud of fists against flesh, followed by hurried footsteps and low curses. The rats scurry boldly across the rafters. More than once, you awake to find one nosing your scanty provisions. If you scream, the others will only laugh. And yet, come morning, you will rise. You will wash as best you can in cold, greasy water. You will powder your face, smear your lips with crushed berries, tug on a dress that smells faintly of mold and stronger of other things best left unnamed. You will stumble back downstairs, ready to pour wine, flatter, smile, and do whatever else the night demands. This is your home now, a corner in the dark, a mattress crawling with lice, a life lived from one coin to the next. You entered of your own will, foolish though it was, but leaving will not be so simple. The debt will grow, the stains will spread, and soon you will wonder how you ever thought you could survive here. But survive you must, because in this place, weakness is an invitation, and the wolves are always hungry. You may have thought, in some fleeting moment of naive optimism, that the other women here would be allies of a sort. Fellow sufferers in a trade none of them truly chose. A sisterhood forged in hardship. You will learn soon enough how wrong you were. This is not a family. It is not even a pack. It is a pit, and every woman in it fights to keep her head above the filth, even if it means shoving the others down. And now you, the newest arrival, the freshest face, the easiest mark, have been dropped in among them. Your first proper encounter comes when you venture back downstairs for the evening shift. The The main room is dim, noisy, and already half full of smoke and the dull roar of low conversation. You linger by the stair, uncertain where to stand, what to do. You do not linger long. A sharp voice cuts through the gloom, coarse, amused, and unmistakably directed at you. Look what Mamka's dragged in. Thought we had enough mouths to feed already. You turn to find the speaker, a tall, rail-thin woman with hollow cheeks and eyes like burnt coals. Her name, you later learn, is Magda. No one knows how long she's worked here. Too long, by the look of her. Her hair is dyed an unnatural shade of red that glows sullenly in the candlelight, her teeth stained by some bitter concoction she chews between clients. She has claimed the corner table nearest the hearth, where she holds court among the rougher regulars and guards her clientele fiercely. No one crosses Magda lightly. Not the other girls, not even Mamka. Beside her perches Elsbeth, short, plump, her face powdered an alarming white that cracks when she smiles, which is often and never kindly. Elsbeth is a survivor. She's been beaten, robbed, nearly drowned once by a client, and come through it all grinning, her sharp eyes constantly appraising the room for opportunity. If something goes missing, Elsbeth knows where it is or how much it will cost to get it back. Then there's Katrin, the so-called beauty of the house. Though here, that is a title awarded by default more than merit. Tall, blonde, with an affected air of refinement that fools no one, she was once, allegedly, a lady's maid in some minor noble's household. She clings to scraps of former dignity, lace cuffs, a tarnished locket, and treats new girls with cool disdain. To her, you are little better than gutter trash. But her own position is precarious, and she knows it beneath the painted. Smile. Her gaze flicks constantly toward Mamka, toward the purse strings, toward any client with coin enough to lift her, even briefly, above the others. And finally, Greta, poor Greta, who cannot be more than 15, though life here has aged her in ways no years could measure. Half wild, eyes too large in her thin face, hair hacked short with a knife, she flits about the room on silent feet, doing odd tasks, running messages, sometimes working the floor when demand outpaces supply. She is not fully one of them. Not yet, but give it time. The house chews up innocence faster than it breeds clients. These are your companions, your rivals, your enemies. You will work beside them, sleep within earshot of their whispered bargains and bitter quarrels. You will share lice, bruises, and the endless, creeping fatigue of life here. And they will watch you every moment, weighing your worth, your weakness, your threat. In the first week, you will endure endless small torments, stolen ribbons, spoiled paints, missing shoes, a cup of sour wine tipped, accidentally into your lap, a sharp elbow in. The ribs as you pass on the stairs. You are fresh meat, and fresh meat must be tested. Do not expect Mamka to intervene. She watches the rivalries with amusement. Conflict keeps the girls hungry, desperate, obedient. A united house is a dangerous house. Better they squabble over scraps than turn their eyes upward. And so she lets the games play out. Only when a fight threatens to damage the furniture or scare off a valuable patron will she crack her knuckles and impose her will. In this hierarchy, there are no friendships, only shifting alliances of convenience. Today, Magda may sneer and trip you as you pass. Tomorrow, she may lend you a scrap of rouge at a price. Katrin may ignore you for days, then suddenly offer whispered advice when a highborn client arrives. Do not trust it. Every kindness has a hook. Every offer hides a ledger. Debt is the true currency here. Favors owed, secrets traded, vulnerabilities cataloged. And as for the new girls, you will not be the last. Fresh faces arrive with grim regularity. Some last a night, some a week, a few, rare and hard as iron. Endure longer, carving out a place in this festering ecosystem. Whether you will be one of them remains to be seen. The others will wager on it behind your back. Magda thinks you'll crack in 3 nights. Elsbeth is giving you 5. Katrin barely deigns to notice. Greta just watches, wide-eyed, as if trying to remember what it was like to be new. So here you are, amid your charming new colleagues. The sisterhood you imagined is a knife fight in a dark room. Your allies are your competition. Your enemies are your bedfellows. And every night, beneath the forced laughter and the painted smiles, the game begins anew. Who will win favor? Who will fall? Who will survive to see another dawn in this place? One thing is certain. If you hoped for friendship here, you came to the wrong house. If you thought that working in a brothel required charm, wit, or perhaps the gift of seduction, you were gravely mistaken. In this place, the first thing that matters, long before looks, long before skill, is the smell, or rather, the battle against it. For in a medieval brothel, success is measured not in coin, nor in the favor of Mamka, nor in the smiles of clients, but in how well you can keep yourself from stinking worse than the pit you work in. And that, as you will soon discover, is a battle no one truly wins. The air itself is your first enemy. Thick, heavy, tainted by centuries of sweat, smoke, and spilled bodily fluids that no scrubbing could ever entirely erase. The brothel is cleaned, insofar as anyone bothers, with stale rushes scattered across the floors, occasionally swapped when the stench becomes unbearable even to the hardened noses of its regulars. But the walls, the beams, the low-hung curtains have long since absorbed the foul perfume of the trade, no matter how fresh the breeze. Outside, within these walls, the scent lingers like an unwelcome ghost. You will learn quickly that soap, if you can even call the gray, lumpy blocks provided soap, is both precious and utterly inadequate. Harsh, lie-heavy, and rough as sand, it strips the skin raw without removing the deeper odors of fear, filth, and desperation. Water is cold, drawn from a well shared with the tannery 2 streets over. On good days, it merely smells faintly of leather. On bad days, it reeks of rot. But bathe you must, for a girl who stinks too strongly risks losing clients, and thus her place. And so begins the ritual of masking, of layering one stench upon another in hopes of achieving something passable. You will mix vinegar with water to splash beneath your arms, burning your skin but cutting through the worst of the sourness. You will rub crushed mint leaves into your hair, if you can find any, or failing that, stale beer, which leaves the hair stiff but distracts the nose. You will smear your wrists and neck with cheap oils that smell of rancid almonds or overripe lavender. Anything to blur the underlying human musk. The older girls have their own concoctions, jealously guarded recipes whispered between bouts of grim laughter. Magda favors a mix of cloves and old wine lees. Elsbeth swears by garlic boiled in vinegar, though the result leaves her breath potent enough to fell a mule. Katrin, of course, claims she uses imported rosewater, though in truth it is likely no more than watered-down lard with a sprig of dried thyme. You will experiment, you will fail, and in time, you will come to understand. The goal is not to smell good, it is to smell less bad than the man next to you. Then there are the garments, the second front in this olfactory war. Your dresses are rarely washed, for soap and labor cost coin, and coin is always short. Instead, they are hung out in the sun when weather allows, beaten with sticks to loosen the worst of the filth, then doused in whatever scented waters can be scrounged. On damp days, they mildew in the corners. On warm days, they reek of sweat long soaked into the seams. You will powder them with chalk, with ground herbs, even with ashes, if need be. But by the 3rd hour of a long shift, all such efforts will be undone. And then comes the true challenge, the clients. They arrive already ripe, having labored in fields or at the docks, or having drunk themselves sodden in nearby taverns. Their breath is a weapon. Their clothes, if they wear any beyond a stained tunic, carry the aromas of pig pens, fish stalls, and worse. Against such onslaughts, your modest layers of vinegar and cloves stand little chance. You will smile, you will gag inwardly, you will learn to breathe shallowly through your mouth, to feign flirtation while holding back bile. Yet for all this, there's a strange economy of scent within the house. Certain clients prefer certain smells. The tanners like the sharp tang of vinegar and leather. The soldiers fancy sweet herbs, as if the scent of basil could cleanse their blood-stained hands. The clerics, those hypocrites, request purity, which translates to a crude attempt at soap and much scrubbing. You will tailor your rituals accordingly, adjusting each night like an alchemist with a faulty recipe. Success here is when a client compliments your scent, not because it is pleasant, but because it drowns out their own shame. Ah, you smell like a flower. One will slur, nose deep in your oiled hair. You will smile, knowing full well that flower is more akin to a wilted cabbage left too long in the sun. But the illusion pleases him, and so you lean into it. And Mamka watches all. She judges not only your earnings, but how you present yourself and how you smell. Too foul, and you will be given a rest, which means no clients, no coin, no meals. Too refined, and the others will turn on you. You must walk the line, balancing between decay and false sweetness, between survival and suspicion. So each night, you prepare, you scrape, you scrub, you powder, you oil, you smile through the stench, because here in this house, the smell of success is not the absence of odor, it is the ability to endure it better than the next girl. And that is a lesson no one teaches. You learn it one breath at a time. It comes sooner than you expect. You've barely begun to adjust to the smells, the sounds, the ceaseless press of flesh and filth when Mamka's bark cuts through the smoke-choked room. You, fresh meat, upstairs, now. There's no time to protest, no time to ask what is expected, no time even to steel yourself. You are shoved toward the stairs by a bony hand, heart pounding, sweat prickling beneath your hastily powdered skin. Behind you, the other girls smirk knowingly, some with pity, some with envy that tonight's burden has fallen to someone else. Your feet stumble on the warped steps. The rail is splintered, the wall slick with years of grease and smoke. You barely keep upright as you reach the top, led by the sharp clatter of Mamka's boots ahead of you. At the far end of the hall, a curtain is thrust aside with a grunt, revealing a narrow space lit by a single guttering candle and a brazier whose smoke stings your eyes. In the center, perched awkwardly on a sagging cot, is your first client. He is perhaps not the worst you imagined, but that is faint praise in this place. Middle-aged, belly straining the seams of a stained tunic, a nose red with too many nights at the tavern. His hair is thin, lank, and his breath, even from the threshold, is an assault of sour ale and rotting teeth. He looks up as you enter, bleary-eyed, and grins with a mouth that seems to contain more gaps than teeth. Well now, he slurs, a new face. You are expected to smile. You do, or attempt to, though your stomach churns. Mamka's sharp glance from the doorway warns you not to falter. She's yours for an hour, she says flatly. No more. Then she vanishes, leaving you alone with the man and your thudding pulse. There is no script to follow, no guidance beyond the whispered warnings you've gleaned in passing. Be agreeable. Keep them drinking. Get the coin first if you can, though Mamka will take her cut no matter what. And above all, survive. The man pats the bed beside him, a wet, meaty slap on the threadbare coverlet. You cross the room slowly, each step an effort of will. The floor creaks ominously beneath you. The client's hands are rough and eager, fumbling at your dress before you've even seated yourself. You swallow your revulsion and guide his fingers away, offering instead a refill from the chipped mug on the side table. More drink dulls their edges. The older girls have said, keep them drunk and the night is easier. You pour with shaking hands, forcing a coy smile. He drinks deeply, belching loud enough to rattle the candle's flame. Talk, they said, distract him. But what does one say to a man whose only interest is the coin on the table and the body before him? You mumble compliments, empty words, watching his gaze droop with each swallow of ale. His fingers grow clumsier, his voice slurred beyond coherence. Relief flickers. Perhaps he will pass out before things progress further. But luck is fickle here. With a grunt, he lurches upright, dragging you closer with surprising strength. The stink of him engulfs you, sweat and ale and something older, sour. You fight the urge to gag, forcing a laugh instead. Another mug, another pour. You're thirsty tonight. You murmur, voice thin with forced cheer. Anything to keep him drinking. The hour crawls. There's no clock, only the slow melt of the candle and the rising tension in your gut. Each touch, each leering word is endured with a numb detachment you will soon learn is vital to survival here. You become a thing, a shape, a smile, a surface. Behind your eyes, you retreat, walling off the part of you that can feel shame or fear. It is the only way. When at last his movements slow, his breath deepens, and his grip slackens, you dare to hope. His head lolls back, mouth open, snores rattling from his chest. Carefully, you ease away, limbs trembling. The coin, a few grimy coppers, is snatched up swiftly. You know better than to leave it within reach, for drunk or not. A client will renege in an instant if given the chance. You slip from the room on silent feet, the curtain falling close behind you. Below, the hall roars with laughter and argument. The other girls glance up as you descend, noting your pallor, your shaking hands. No words are exchanged. No one needs to ask how it went. They've all been there. Some will offer a nod. Others will smirk. You are no longer the untested girl in the corner. You have earned your first scar, invisible though it may be. Mamka awaits at the bar, hand outstretched. You place the coin in her palm without a word. She counts it, pockets most, and slides a single copper back toward you. Your share, enough perhaps for a crust of bread and a cup of watered wine. Less than what you need, but more than you had this morning. You did fine, she says gruffly, already turning away. No praise, no comfort. Just the acknowledgement that you endured and will endure again, because there will be another client tomorrow, and the next night, and the next, until you no longer tremble, until you no longer think, until the girl who walked through that door is gone, replaced by someone harder, colder, less human. Welcome to the life. Your first client is behind you. The rest of your new world awaits. If you thought that in a house built upon selling the illusion of pleasure, a girl's wardrobe might be her pride, her armor, or at least something more than rags, you were gravely mistaken. In truth, the garments here are as battered, soiled, and treacherous as the clients they are meant to entice. And in this house, clothing is not luxury, nor beauty, nor comfort. It is survival. And survival means fighting for every lace, every patch, every shred of cloth you can scavenge, steal, or hoard. The moment you step into the life, Mamka hands you your kit with a smirk, a bundle of threadbare cloth that could barely pass for a shift, a corset warped and creaking from years of sweat and strain, and a pair of shoes whose soles threaten to part company with each step. Make it work, she says, and you will. Because you must. In this place, no girl is issued fine silks or rich velvet. What you wear, you beg, borrow, or claw from others. and every thread is a battle one. You will learn quickly that there is no communal wardrobe, no benevolent sharing of garments. Each girl hoards her rags like gold, hiding choice pieces beneath loose floorboards, under mattresses, even stitched inside sleeves. A lace cuff, a bright ribbon, a bodice that still holds its shape. These are treasures, worth more than a week's coin, and the older girls guard them jealously. Magda has a stash of faded brocade she guards with a blade beneath her pillow. Elsbeth sleeps with her, stockings tucked under her shift. Katrin, ever the peacock, parades about in a tattered velvet gown she dare not leave unwatched. And you? You will start with nothing but your issued rags, the ones that mark you fresh and ripe for mockery. The first time you leave your shift hanging in the washroom unattended, it will vanish, replaced with one stiffer, filthier, older. The laces of your corset may be cut while you sleep. A scarf you thought yours may appear tied about another girl's neck come evening, and no protest will change that. Mamka does not meddle in such petty wars. Keep better watch, she says with a shrug. But despite the filth and rivalry, appearance matters. Clients expect fantasy, not the truth of lice-ridden hair and bruised skin. A girl who cannot present herself passively risks losing her place and her coin. And so begins the nightly ritual of scraping, pinning, powdering, and disguising. You will sew sagging hems by candlelight, not sashes to cover stains, pin torn bodices so they hang just so. A faded dress is refreshed with a stolen ribbon, a torn stocking patched with lace. You will layer perfume over sweat, powder over rot, and hope that the dim candlelight and thick ale blur the rest. But clothing here is fragile currency. One misplaced favor, one lost client, one careless word, and a rival may borrow your best pieces for good. Fights over garments are swift and brutal. You will see girls scratch and bite over a single length of lace, tear bodices to shreds and drunken spats, tip chamber pots over a rival's drying dress out of sheer spite. And when tempers flare too far, Mamka intervenes, not out of fairness, but because ruined garments mean lost profits. Even laundering is a grim affair. Water is cold, soap scarce. Shifts are beaten against stones, hung in damp cellars to mildew. You will wear dresses still wet at the seams, reeking of smoke and stale herbs. In summer, they cling with sweat. In winter, they freeze stiff on your skin. You will itch constantly, from fleas, from lice, from the rot of damp cloth against chafed flesh. Yet still, each night, you will don the same rags. Adjust them with shaking hands and step into the hall with a painted smile. And when new girls arrive, wide-eyed and foolish, you will watch as their pretty gowns are slowly stripped from them, worn thin by rough hands, stolen piece by piece, until they too scavenge for rags. The cycle repeats. The house devours not only flesh, but fabric. And no matter how fine the dress you once wore, here, all garments end as tatters. You will hoard what you can, guard it fiercely, so until your fingers bleed. For in this place, where coin buys nothing but deeper debt, where kindness is a weapon and youth fades swift as smoke, what you wear is your last shield against being invisible. Lose it, and you lose everything. If you believe that the art of seduction in a medieval brothel began with fluttered lashes and soft smiles, you clearly know nothing of the realities of this place. Here, seduction begins not with charm, but with war paint. And each evening, long before the first client staggers through the crooked door, the upstairs hall transforms into a battlefield of powders, oils, and bitter rivalry. The makeup ritual is less about beauty than survival, a desperate attempt to mask exhaustion, fear, and the slow decay of body and spirit beneath layers of grime and false color. And you will learn swiftly that in this house, How you paint your face can mean the difference between a coin in your pocket and an empty belly. Your first morning after that wretched first client, bleary-eyed and aching, you are dragged from your straw pallet not by the tolling of bells or the rising sun, but by the sharp voices of the other girls. The day has barely begun, but already preparations are underway. You are pointed toward a battered wooden table in the corner of the attic, cluttered with pots, jars, and fragments of cracked mirrors. This is where the transformation takes place. You will spend more time here than in your bed. The tools of the trade are as crude as they are numerous. No delicate brushes or fine powders. Instead, stubby fingers, bits of cloth, and concoctions brewed from whatever the girls can scrounge. The base layer is a thick paste of white lead and vinegar, slapped onto the face with abandon. It burns as it dries, cracking painfully if you dare to smile, but pale skin is the fashion, the mark of leisure, of imagined refinement. No one must look as though they've labored, though every girl here carries that labor in her bones. Next comes the rouge. Not the delicate blush of courtly ladies, but vivid streaks of crushed berries or powdered brick rubbed into cheeks and lips until they burn. The older girls hoard secret recipes. Magda mixes beetroot with lamp soot. Elsbeth swears by a blend of red clay and stale wine. The result is always the same. Garish, unnatural, but eye-catching. And in this house, being noticed is currency. For the eyes, lamp black is applied with fingers or splinters of wood, smudged until the lids are heavy with shadow. Not to allure, but to mask the hollow circles beneath. No girl here sleeps well. No girl escapes the toll of late nights and rough clients. The black hides the worst of it, creating the illusion of sultry intent where only exhaustion lies. The hair, too, must be tamed, though soap is scarce and combs scarcer. You will scrape the worst of the grease away with a knife, then rub in rancid oils scented with whatever herbs you can find. Rosemary, if you're lucky, onion skins if not. The result is heavy, sticky, but glossy enough to catch the dim candlelight. Stray lice are plucked and crushed with practiced fingers, an endless, futile battle. And then there are the finishing touches, a smear of tallow on the lips to add false shine, a drop of stale perfume dabbed behind each ear, its sour floral scent barely masking the musk beneath, a dusting of chalk across the décolletage to hide bruises and blemishes. By the time you are finished, you are scarcely recognizable, a painted doll with cracked porcelain skin and fever-bright eyes. But do not think this is done in peace. The table is a battleground. Elbows jab, tempers flare, powders go missing, rouge is stolen, mirrors mysteriously crack. The girls guard their concoctions fiercely, hoarding better ingredients when they can. If you leave your pot unattended, expect it to be tampered with. A handful of ash here, a dash of salt there. Nothing is sacred. Everything is war. And Mamka watches from the shadows, amused. She knows the value of this ritual. A well-painted girl draws more coin, commands more attention, but she offers no supplies. You are expected to provide your own, or steal them. And if you fail to present yourself adequately, expect a sharp rebuke and a poorer corner come evening. In this house, beauty, or the semblance of it, is demanded no matter the cost. The final indignity comes when you descend to the main hall, the sweat already beginning to break through the layers of paint. Within an hour, the rouge will run, the lead will cake, the oil will slick your hair anew. By midnight, you will look every inch the exhausted creature you are beneath the mask. And yet, each evening, you will return to that table, daub and smear and scrape anew, chasing the fleeting, fragile illusion. For here, beneath the cracked beams and flickering candlelight, beauty is not a gift. It is a burden, a ritual of desperation. And each layer of paint is not just color, but armor, a fragile shield against the gaze of those who see only what they wish to buy. If you were foolish enough to think that the true enemy in this place would be the clients, the leering drunkards, the violent soldiers, the grabby merchants, then you have not yet grasped the nature of your new world. The clients are a known quantity. Dangerous, yes, but predictable. It is the other girls you must watch. For here, behind every painted smile and whispered jest, lies a battlefield as ruthless as any war fought with steel. Competition is the air you breathe, and every glance, every gesture, every shift of the hip is a move in a ceaseless game where the stakes are your belly, your bed, and your place beneath this crooked roof. From the moment you step onto the floor each evening, the contest begins. It starts with positioning. The most lucrative tables are closest to the hearth, where the wealthier, or at least less destitute, clients congregate. Magda has staked her claim there years ago, and what any girl who tries to edge too near? A casual spill of wine, a whispered insult, a conveniently placed foot to trip the unwary, all are tools in her arsenal. You, the newcomer, are relegated to the drafty corners, where the poorest clients gather and where coin, if it changes hands at all, does so begrudgingly. Then comes presentation. The older girls have mastered the subtle arts of drawing the eye. A glance held a beat too long, a carefully timed laugh, a suggestive sway of the hips as they pass, all calculated to lure a client before he even sits. You will try to mimic them, at first awkwardly, and be met with sharp elbows, sidelong sneers, and the occasional deliberate shove. If your smile shines too brightly, expect your drink to be salted. If your hair draws too much praise, expect it to be hacked in your sleep. Success breeds envy here, and envy is always answered with spite. But it is not only the floor that is contested. Clients themselves are prizes, and the girls fight for them with a ferocity that knows no bounds. Should a regular show preference for you, however slight, you will become a target. His path will be blocked, his ear filled with poison. She's diseased, she cheats, she's cursed, lies spread faster than fleas in this house. And you will be forced to counter them with smiles and sweet words while watching your back. If you falter, if you show weakness, the pack will close in. Even within the same night, alliances shift. A girl who laughs with you over a shared pot of rouge in the afternoon will undercut you before sundown if it serves her gain. Promises mean nothing. Friendships are fleeting. The only loyalty is to survival, and survival is paid for in coin that you cannot earn if you're bested at every turn. Mamka fosters this rivalry. She knows that hungry girls work harder, fight harder, draw in more coin. She plays favorites subtly, offering a smile to one, a word of praise to another. You will scramble for her approval, only to find it withdrawn the moment you grow complacent. She rewards those who bring in the most, punishes those who falter, and the other girls watch, counting every glance, every slight, adjusting their tactics accordingly. Then there are the dirty tricks. Powder laced with ash, wine cups spiked with herbs to make you sluggish, ribbons cut, hems torn, laces snapped. One girl, a foolish creature from the next village, woke to find her best dress slashed to ribbons. She left that same night, weeping. No one mourned her departure. Fewer competitors mean more coin for the rest. But the worst betrayals come not from petty sabotage, but from whispered words in the ears of the clients. A careless boast, a false rumor, a feigned flirtation. All can turn a client against you or draw him away altogether. The older girls excel at this art. They will sit beside you, smiling sweetly, while weaving subtle doubts into the minds of the men. And when the client rises, coin in hand, it will be to follow them, not you. And so, each night, you dance a treacherous waltz. Smile too broadly, and you invite attack. Smile too little, and you are ignored. Draw too much attention, and you become a target. Draw too little, and you starve. There's no winning this game, only surviving it one bruised night at a time. You will learn to watch the others as keenly as you watch the clients. Magda's glances, sharp as knives. Elsbeth's honeyed words that drip with poison. Katrin's cold smiles that hide daggers beneath velvet sleeves. Even poor Greta, wide-eyed and silent, is not to be trusted. For in this house, innocence is a mask worn as readily as rouge. And Mamka, always Mamka, presides over it all like a spider at the heart of her web. She sees every move, hears every whisper, knows every debt and grudge. She will step in only when it suits her, to remove a girl who grows too troublesome, to quell a fight that threatens the furniture, to remind the pack that while they may claw at each other, it is her house they serve. You may have come here seeking a living. What you have found is a battleground, and your weapons are your wits, your smile, and your will to endure. Forget sisterhood. Forget friendship. Here, every girl is your rival, and the game never ends. If you have made it this far, painted, powdered, bruised, but breathing, you might begin to think that survival here is only a matter of grit. That if you can dodge the client's fists, outwheat the other girls, and flatter Manka enough to stay in favor, you might endure. But beneath the bruises and the rivalries lies a deeper thread, one that cannot be sweet-talked or outmaneuvered. The endless, creeping tide of sickness that festers in every corner of this house. In a brothel, illness is not a risk, it is a certainty. The only question is what you will catch first and whether it will kill you quickly or slowly. It begins with the small things, the irritations that soon become part of life. The lice are constant companions. You will scratch until your scalp bleeds, and still they will return, bred in the straw-stuffed mattresses, the sweat-soaked linens, the very seams of your ragged dresses. You will pluck them from your hair with fingernails worn to the quick, smear them between thumb and forefinger, and go on smiling. No girl here is free of them. You simply learn to endure. Then there are the fleas and bed bugs, relentless invaders of skin and cloth. Their bites welt and itch, festering when scratched too deeply. Some nights, the itch will drive you half mad, your body a map of red, weeping sores. You will try everything. Vinegar rinses, smoke fumigations, bitter herbs scattered in the bedding. Nothing works for long. They breed faster than despair. But these are minor torments compared to what lies deeper. Venereal diseases, though no one here calls them that, are the true scourge of the house. The older girls have names for them. The fire, the drip, the curse. They begin as an itch, a burn, a foul-smelling discharge. Then come the sores, the rashes, the fevers, the pain when you squat to relieve yourself, the raw, searing agony with each client. And through it all, you must smile and perform, for to admit illness is to risk being cast out, or worse, marked as diseased, your value in Mamka's eyes reduced to nothing. There is no proper medicine here. The house doctor is an apothecary's apprentice, barely trained, greedy for coin. He visits irregularly, hawking tinctures of mercury, poultices of dung and herbs, elixirs of camphor and wine. The girls buy them when they can, hoping for relief. More often, they buy false hope. The mercury burns worse than the disease. The dung poultices reek, the camphor makes the head spin. But what choice do you have? To go untreated is to rot from within. To be cured, truly cured, is a fantasy few can afford. And so, whispered cures circulate among the girls. Infusions of juniper and nettle, sitz baths in boiling vinegar, charms sewn into undergarments. Some drink spirits laced with powdered toad or ground bones, ancient remedies learned from crones and peddlers. Most do nothing but line the pockets of charlatans. But in a place where every night may bring a new infection, you will try anything. The house itself breeds illness. The air is thick with smoke and damp. The walls sweat in winter, mold blooming black and green. In summer, the heat drives the stench of unwashed bodies to unbearable levels. Respiratory ailments run rampant. A cough that starts as a tickle and deepens into a hacking fit that leaves you gasping, ribs aching. Many girls develop a permanent rasp. Their voice is hoarse and raw. The clients rarely notice or care. A girl can work through a cough until she can't. Then there are the sores, boils and abscesses from constant friction, from rough handling, from poor hygiene. They fester, burst, drain. You will learn to lance them yourself with heated needles, to pack them with moldy bread or salt, to bind them and pray. There is no rest, no time to heal. If you cannot stand, Mamka may grant you a day, but that day costs you, in coin, in favor, in future shifts. And when you return, weaker, paler, the other girls will circle like vultures, ready to claim your clients. And always, there is a shadow of worse to come. The pox, when it enters the house, as it does sooner or later, it spreads like fire. One girl, feverish and blotched, then another. The house closes its doors, but too late. Clients vanish. Fear fills the air thicker than smoke. Mamka summons the apothecary, pays bribes to the city watch, but the damage is done. Those who can flee, those who can't, endure or die. The survivors return thinner, paler, marked forever. In this place, health is an illusion. The painted faces and powdered breasts hide bodies riddled with sickness, pain simmering beneath every smile. You will learn to move carefully, to judge which clients to avoid, though even the cleanest-looking man may carry unseen death. You will watch the older girls, Magda limping from a weeping sore, Elsbeth's eyes sunken with fever, Katrin coughing blood into a rag when she thinks no one sees. And you will wonder when your time will come, for it will come. No one escapes unscathed. No matter how careful you are, no matter how many charms you wear or tinctures you drink, the brothel takes its toll, slow and sure. And when the sickness grows too great, when you can no longer paint over the pallor, when your legs tremble beneath you, when the pain drives you to collapse, you will be replaced quietly, without ceremony. Another fresh girl will take your place, wide-eyed and ignorant. The wheel turns, and Mamka will shrug. She couldn't handle it, she will say. And the house will go on, as it always does, as it always will, a festering hive of sickness beneath the thin veneer of rouge and perfume. Of all the hazards you will face in this house, and they are many, none will weigh you down so steadily, so relentlessly as the drunks. Clients come in all shapes and moods, but whether they arrive as tanners reeking of lye, dock workers fresh from the hold of a ship, or minor clerks flushed with stolen coin, one trait binds them together. They drink, and they drink hard. And when the ale turns to poison in their veins, it is you who must deal with the consequences. The evenings begin innocently enough, if such a word can be applied here. The men arrive in twos and threes, loud-voiced and red-faced, calling for drink before even glancing at the girls. The ale flows cheap and sour, watered by Mamka, of course, to stretch the barrel and dull the minds of the patrons. But men do not come here for quality. They drink to forget their wives, their debts, the cold of the street. They drink to drown what little conscience they have left before pawing at the painted women who circle the room. You will learn to gauge them quickly. A man already swaying as he enters will be no threat. He will pass out before mischief begins. A man with steady hands and bright eyes is more dangerous, for drink will sharpen his hunger before it dulls his sense. And worst of all are those who drink in brooding silence, their tempers simmering beneath each gulp. These are the ones who lash out when a haze overtakes them. Your role in this grim theater is twofold: to feed the drink and to manage its effects. You're expected to laugh and flirt as you pour, to press the cup into rough hands again and again, urging the man toward that sweet point where coin loosens but strength falters. The older girls master this dance. They can have a man emptied of both purse and sense before he even reaches the stairs. You will struggle at first, pouring too quickly, misjudging the mood. One wrong word, one false move, and a cheerful drunk can become a raging brute. And when they turn, it is you who must soothe them. A hand on the arm, a whispered promise, another cup, anything to redirect the anger. Mamka will not tolerate brawls that damage her property, but she expects you to handle trouble before it reaches her. And so you will learn the language of slurred speech and unsteady limbs, reading the warning signs in a glassy stare or a tightening jaw. You will charm and cajole, lie and flatter, all to keep the peace. Yet not all can be pacified. Some nights, a man will drink beyond the point of reason, rising with fists clenched or staggering toward you with lusts made monstrous by the ale. In such moments, the other girls may vanish. Mamka may be nowhere in sight, and you will be left to fend for yourself. A knee placed subtly, a deft sidestep, a tray raised to deflect a blow. These are your tools. And when escape is impossible, you will endure, biting back curses and tears until the beast collapses in a stupor. Not all drunks are violent. Some are simply pathetic. They weep into your lap, confessing sins and sorrows you care nothing to hear. They clutch at you like drowning men, their breath hot and sour. They beg for love, for forgiveness, for something you cannot give. And through it all, you must smile, must stroke greasy hair, and murmur false comfort. The coin comes easier from the broken than the bold. Then there are the tricksters, the sly drunks who feign more stupor than they possess. They will stagger and mumble, claiming poverty or forgetting to pay. They will fondle and grope under the guise of drunken confusion. Spotting them is an art, one you will learn only after too many bruises and too few coins. The older girls share no pity when you are caught. You must learn as they did, or be eaten alive. And when the night wanes and the worst of the lot begin to collapse beneath the tables, your labor is not yet done. The girls draw lots for who must drag the bodies clear, who must clean the vomit from the floorboards, who must strip the soiled bedding before the next wave arrives. You will haul limbs gone slack with drink, curse the fools under your breath, scrub till your fingers crack. And in the morning, when your head throbs and your arms ache, Mamka will demand you smile anew. For there is no escape from the cycle. The men will return night after night, their pockets lighter, their minds duller. The ale will flow, the fists will rise, the vomit will stain anew. And you, painted and weary, will pour and soothe and endure, because to do otherwise is to lose your place, your coin, your thin thread of survival. And so you will master the grim art of dealing with drunks. You will know which to flatter, which to fear, which to rob blind while they snore. You will learn to hide your dread beneath laughter, to feign delight at the slurred compliments of men who would not know you sober. And in time, you will come to understand the truth. In this house, it is not the drink that ruins the men. It is the men who ruin the drink. And it is you who must pick up the pieces. Of all the creatures that pass through the crooked door of this brothel, few are more detestable than the pious. The drunkards may paw and vomit. The soldiers may bruise and brawl, but at least they come without masks. The hypocrites of the church, though robed, ringed, and righteous, come wrapped in sanctimony by day, only to shed it by night when they think no one is watching. And in time, you will come to know their ways too well. For no girl survives long here without learning twisted game of piety and pretense that governs this shadow play between altar and alehouse. It begins with the minor clergy, young monks and lay brothers from nearby abbeys, whose vows of chastity melt like butter at the first scent of sour wine and painted skin. They arrive at dusk, hoods drawn low, speaking in false tones of caution, slipping coins into Mamka's hand with eyes darting like hunted animals. Only for a moment, they murmur, a lapse, a weakness. Yet they come again and again, hungrier each time, their prayers growing more hollow with every coin spent. Then there are the deacons and priests, men of authority in the parish, whose sermons thunder against sin while their feet remember well the path to the brothel. These men are more careful. They bribe the city watch to look away. They send trusted servants ahead to ensure no unwelcome eyes observe their visit. But when the doors close and the shutters are drawn, their masks fall away. Their appetites are no less base than those of the common men. Indeed, they are often worse, sharpened by long denial and cloaked in the certainty that confession will cleanse all. You will know them when they arrive. They do not drink openly, lest the scent betray them on the morrow. Instead, they sip spiced wine in corners, drawing girls aside with murmured requests and promises of discretion. They demand submission laced with false reverence, a pantomime of innocence corrupted, a game as old as sin itself. And you, if you wish to keep their coin in your place, must play along, smile sweetly, feign surprise, whisper reassurances. They want not only your body, but your complicity in their farce. But the true venom of their hypocrisy reveals itself beyond these walls. For when dawn comes and the bells toll for Mass, these same men stand before the flock, their voices ringing out in condemnation. Fornicators, harlots, agents of the devil, they cry, their words heavy with scorn. And you, if you dare slip near the back of the church, for sometimes coin buys food but not grace, will hear your own life denounced from the pulpit by the very lips that kissed your skin the night before. Worse still are the public penances they demand of others. Poor women dragged before the altar, forced to confess imagined sins while their accusers, whose coin lines Mamka's purse, look on with feigned sorrow. And when the bishop rides through on his tours of virtue, the brothel shutters its windows and bars its doors, while Mamka pays dearly to ensure no raid disrupts her trade. Yet within a fortnight, the bishop's own man will come knocking, seeking entertainment for his lord beneath the veil of secrecy. And should scandal break, for sometimes even bribes fail, and tongues wag despite the silver pressed upon them, it is the girls who pay the price, not the priest, not the deacon. The girls are named, shamed, beaten, or worse, while the righteous return to their pulpits, cleansed by confession and cloaked anew in the mantle of holy authority. You will learn to hate their double faces, to mask your revulsion with practiced smiles. You will keep their secrets because you must, for Mamka demands it, and survival leaves little room for moral outrage. But in the dark hours, when the paint cracks and the scent of incense still clings to your skin, you will wonder how a man can stand before God in daylight after such deeds in the night. And yet, you will see it again and again. The same faces, the same voices, the same coins changing hands. The cycle repeats, a dance of sin and sanctimony that no sermon will break. And you, painted, powdered, weary, will stand at its center, knowing the truth that few dare speak. In this city, the church bells toll for the pious and the damned alike, and often they are one and the same. The brothel may survive by dancing along the frayed edge of legality, but make no mistake, that edge cuts deep, and when it draws blood, it is the girls who bleed first. For while Mamka bribes the right pockets, greases the right palms, and smiles her crooked smile at the passing constable, no coin can hold the law at bay forever. Sooner or later, the city will demand a show of virtue, and when it does, the inspectors come calling, not to end the trade. Heavens no, too many powerful men enjoy its profits, but to remind all involved who holds the whip. You will learn the signs early. A murmur in the market, a sudden chill in Mamka's manner, a sharp order to tidy up the hall. Word travels fast through the city's gutters. The magistrate is restless. The bishop has thundered from the pulpit one sermon too many. The aldermen need a scapegoat to parade before the citizens. And so the inspector is dispatched, not to cleanse, but to be seen cleansing. The first true warning is Mamka's shout echoing up the stairs. Raid. No need for subtlety. In moments, the house explodes in a frantic motion. The girls scatter, practiced in the ritual of hiding. You will follow, heart hammering, as they dart into hidden alcoves, behind false panels, beneath trapdoors worn smooth by countless desperate palms. Beneath the stairs lies a cramped, dark crawl space where three can squeeze, if they don't mind pressed flesh and ragged breathing, behind the wine racks. A narrow tunnel leads to a neighboring cellar. You'll learn every bolt hole and shadowed niche by heart, for your life may depend on them. Above, the door crashes open, boots stomping across the warped floor. The inspector enters with a flourish, cloak swirling, hat plumed, a sneer fixed beneath his waxed mustache. His men spread through the house, club-tipped staves in hand, overturning benches, flinging open curtains, spilling wine, and scattering the meager hordes of painted powder and wilted flowers. It is a performance as much as a raid. Loud, theatrical, meant to satisfy the city's hunger for virtue. Mamka greets them with her customary blend of faux indignation and veiled deference. An outrage, she declares, arms wide. Why? We are but a humble inn, a place of refuge for weary travelers. The inspector scoffs, but already her coin, folded discreetly into his palm, is working its magic. His barked orders grow less fierce, his gaze less sharp. Still, the show must go on. Meanwhile, in the dark, you shiver, crammed between sweat-drenched bodies, stifling coughs and silent whimpers. You will know the taste of fear, metallic and bitter on your tongue. For not all raids end with a wink and a bribe. If a girl is caught out of place, bruised ill, visibly marked, she may be dragged into the street for the crowd to jeer. If an inspector seeks to curry favor with the bishop, he may seize 2 or 3 to parade in chains before the court. And then it matters little how many coins Mamka offers. The church's thirst for spectacle must be sated. Some girls, too foolish or too proud, try to flee through the hidden exits. Some make it. Others are caught by the inspector's men, or worse, by street gangs lying in wait to prey upon those flush from hiding. You will learn, grimly, that sometimes it is safer to crouch in filth and darkness than to run. And not all betrayals come from outside. There are informers, always, a rival brothel seeking to wound Mamka's trade, a jilted client nursing vengeance, even a jealous girl hoping to thin the competition. You will trust no one after your first raid. Friendships forged in powder and sweat melt swiftly beneath the glare of the inspector's torch. When at last the raid ends, the inspector departs with a flourish, leaving overturned tables, shattered crockery, and bruised egos in his wake. Mamka watches them go with narrowed eyes, already calculating how much the night's losses will cost and how she will recoup them. The girls emerge, pale and trembling, gowns askew, faces streaked with soot and fear. A few are missing, taken, fled, or broken. No words are spoken of them. The house must move on, and move on it will. By nightfall, the tables will be set to rights, the wine poured new, the painted smiles restored. The clients will return, Those same men who cheered the raid from the street now sidling back through the door with coins in hand and guilt in their eyes. The city must be seen to punish sin, but never truly cleanse it. Too many pockets depend on its stain. And you will add another scar to your soul, another bitter layer to your painted mask. You will flinch at shadows, start at loud knocks, learn to sleep light and dress quickly. For the inspector will come again. Next week, next month, next year. And each time, the game will play out anew. Because here, beneath the thin veneer of piety, hypocrisy is the oldest trade of all, and it pays very well indeed. You may think that in a place built on the commerce of flesh, food and drink would at least offer some small comfort, a respite from the endless parade of stench and bruises. You would be wrong, of course. Here, in the bowels of Mamka's house, what passes for sustenance is as much a trial as the clients themselves. Food is filth dressed as nourishment, and drink is poison poured with a smile. You will learn quickly. Survival here means mastering not only the dance of the night, but the slow, daily battle not to starve or sicken on what is set before you. The day begins, if you can call it that, for time is a blurred thing in this place, with a thin gruel ladled from a pot that bubbles ominously in the corner of the kitchen. It is made from barley or oats or whatever Mamka's buyer could scavenge from the market stalls the day before. Often it carries the sour tang of grain gone slightly off, sometimes laced with weevils or worse. You will pick through it mechanically, hunger outweighing revulsion. On bad days, and there are many, the pot is thinned with water until what remains is little more than dirty broth. Bread is a luxury, stale, hard enough to chip a tooth, its crust spotted with the telltale bloom of mold. You will scrape it clean with a knife, soak it in broth, choke it down. When fresh bread appears, know that it is for the clients, not for you. Mamka guards it jealously, doling out crumbs only to her favored girls, and even then for a price. Midday brings no relief. If you are lucky, a hunk of gray, stringy meat may appear, boiled beyond recognition. What animal it came from is best left unasked. Horse, dog, rat. The kitchen takes what it can get. Spices are unheard of, salt a rare and treasured thing, used sparingly if at all. The broth is greasy, floating with bits of fat and bone, and thickened with whatever scraps remain from the night before. You will eat because you must, each mouthful a test of will. Drink is no better. Water from the well is suspect, tainted with runoff from the tanneries and worse. The safer choice, perversely, is ale, weak, sour, heavily watered, but at least boiled in its making. You will drink it in gulps, stomach roiling, to stave off thirst. On rare occasions, a jug of thin wine will appear, tart and sharp, more vinegar than vintage. It dulls the senses, a small mercy, though one paid for in coin or favor. For the clients, of course, a better illusion must be maintained. The ale served in the main hall is slightly stronger, though no less sour, poured from barrels carefully spiced with cheap herbs to mask the rot. The wine is cut with honey or berries to sweeten the bite, served in pewter cups that do little to hide the grit at the bottom. The food offered for a price is dressed to please the eye. Platters of cold meats, soft cheeses, and fruit on rare feast days. But beneath the garnish, it is the same tired fare, repurposed and repainted for show. You will learn to eat sparingly before your shift. A full belly is a burden when corsets must be tightened and clients paw at your waist. Worse, the risk of sudden sickness from tainted food is ever present. More than one girl has doubled over mid-shift, retching behind a curtain while Mamka snarled about lost coin. You will watch the others and learn which meats to avoid, which pots to trust when the broth smells wrong. Hunger sharpens such instincts. Illness from the fare is a constant shadow. Stomach cramps, fever, dysentery, all are commonplace. suffered in silence lest Mamka dock your pay or worse. There is no rest for the sick unless they collapse outright. Even then, the cure is crude, a purge of herbs that leaves you weaker still, or a cup of burning spirits to cleanse the gut. You will recover or you will not. The house does not wait. Nor does Mamka tolerate waste. Leftovers are recycled, scraps thrown back into the pot for the next meal. You will soon recognize the cycle. The same chunk of meat returning day after day, smaller each time, its flavor growing more dubious. The clever girls find ways to supplement their diet. A handful of nuts from a sympathetic client, a stolen egg from the market, a heel of bread bartered from the kitchen boy. Every crumb is precious. And through it all, you must maintain the illusion of health. Clients expect curves, not sunken eyes and hollow cheeks. You will pad your bodice, rouge your cheeks, pinch your lips to mimic vitality. But beneath the paint, the truth tells its own tale. Look closely and you will see it. The gaunt faces, the trembling hands, the dull eyes of girls worn thin by weeks of bad meat and worse ale. Yet you will endure. You must, for in this place, hunger is as constant as breath. And if you falter, if you grow too weak, too thin to please the eye, Mamka will have no qualms about replacing you. There is always another desperate girl willing to choke down Phil for a chance at survival. And so you will eat what you must, drink what you can, smile through the gnawing emptiness that grows behind your ribs. For here, beneath the cracked beams and painted masks, the brothel feeds its girls on lies as much as on food. And the greatest lie of all is that any of it will ever be enough. Among the many miseries of this house, few are more treacherous than the nights when the nobility descends. You might think, foolishly, that a nobleman brings a fatter purse, finer manners, perhaps even kinder hands. And yes, their coin is heavier, their silks brighter, their boots polished, but beneath the gilded trim beats the same rotted heart as any gutter drunk. And their appetites are all the fouler for being long denied behind high walls and pious words. You will learn quickly. Handling nobles requires more than painted cheeks. It requires a stomach of iron and a mind sharp enough to dodge a blade wrapped in velvet. The heralding of their arrival comes not from fanfare, but from Mamka's sudden urgency. Clean yourselves, she barks. Dress finer. No filth tonight. The older girls move swiftly, fetching their best, or least tattered, garments, applying an extra layer of powder, a brighter ribbon. You will follow suit, though you wonder why the effort. It is not for your sake. Nobles expect the illusion of choice, the semblance of refinement, even when they tread through mud and sin, and they pay well, which is all Mamka cares to see. They arrive in groups, usually after dark when the city sleeps. Young knights flushed with wine, eager to prove themselves men before returning to court. Pages with too many coins and too little sense, sent to sample the world by masters who feign ignorance. Minor lords cloaked in furs, their eyes sharp with hunger, their tongues sharper still. And, worst of all, the cloaked figures whose rings and bearing betray their higher station. Men who must not be named, lest the house be burned to the ground by dawn. At first glance, they present better. Their garments are finer, their speech more polished. They do not stagger like common drunks, nor paw immediately at the girls. But the danger lies beneath the surface. These men wear their power like a second skin, and they wield it without mercy. They expect obedience, flattery, submission. A whispered no will be met with laughter at best, a blade at worst. The older girls know the game. Magda plays the haughty courtesan, feeding noble pride while keeping a wary eye on her drink. Elsbeth adopts the giggle of a dim peasant girl, luring fools to part with more coin. Katrin, ever the aspirant to higher station, lavishes attention upon pages and squires, hoping to catch the eye of some rising star. You, fresh and uncertain, will be told to smile and speak little. Your ignorance is a shield. Until it cracks, nobles play at danger. They request exotic entertainments, tests of daring men to amuse their companions. They wager on which girl will break first beneath their teasing. They demand performances that skirt the line of cruelty and often cross it. You will be expected to endure with grace, to laugh at jests that cut deeper than any blade. A misstep can mean ruin or a broken bone behind closed doors. And yet, the lure of their coin cannot be denied. A single noble's purse can feed the house for a week. And so, you will find yourself thrust into their company, painted and powdered, heart hammering as you tread the fine line between pleasing and preserving yourself. You will pour wine laced with caution, watching for the glint of malice in drunken eyes. You will dodge probing questions about your origins, your loyalties. For nobles love a mystery they can claim to unravel. The worst come in disguise, robed monks with two soft hands, masked figures whose laughter chills the blood. They toy with the girls, promising riches, freedom, favors at court. Lies, all. You will hear tales of girls who vanished after such nights, taken to gilded cages, or worse, discarded in gutters when their novelty faded. The wise girls feign sickness or slip away unseen when such men appear. But not all are wise. Not all are spared. And when the nobles depart, the house does not rest easy. For their passage leaves ripples. A broken girl in the attic, weeping in a torn lace. A new bruise hidden beneath powder. A warning whispered from Mamka's lips. You did well. You survived. And you will understand, for here, survival is the only true measure of success. The nobility will return, as they always do, drawn by hunger, by boredom, by the thrill of sin cloaked in silk. And you will greet them with painted smiles, weary eyes, and the knowledge that their coin buys more than flesh. It buys silence. For in this house, as in the world beyond, power speaks in gold, and gold will always find its way through the cracks. In a house where sickness walks in the rafters, where fists and knives lie behind smiles, and where death may come as swiftly from a careless word as from a client's filthy hands, it is no wonder that the girls cling to whatever scraps of hope they can find. And here, amid the powder and pain, such hope takes the form of charms and superstitions, whispered from one weary mouth to another, traded like coin, guarded like treasure. You will scoff at them at first, until the night you face a client whose breath stinks of death, or the morning when blood stains your shift with no cause, and then you too will reach for any talisman that promises a thread of protection. It begins with the simplest things: herbs tucked into bodices, sprigs of rosemary, believed to ward off sickness, bits of yarrow to stave off bleeding, wormwood to drive away the evil eye. You will see the older girls crush them into their wash water, sprinkle them beneath their palates, knot them into the laces of their shoes. The smell of the house is not merely sweat and sour wine. Beneath it drifts the sharp tang of bruised herbs, a miasma of desperate faith. Then there are the amulets, not fine jewelry. Such things would not survive a week here, but crude, worn tokens strung on twine and hidden beneath shifts. Teeth of animals, said to grant strength. Tiny bags of salt for purity. Coins rubbed smooth, carried for luck. One girl wears a scrap of her mother's veil knotted around her wrist. Another, a bead of jet said to absorb malice. You will acquire your own in time. Perhaps a button from a favored dress, or a charm bought in secret from the old crone who haunts the market's edge, trading baubles for whispers. Superstition governs more than what you wear. It shapes how you move through each day. You do not whistle in the hall, for it calls spirits. You do not cross needles, lest they tangle your fate. You knock 3 times on the hearth before taking your first client to ward off ill fortune. Before a noble's visit, the girls turn their mirrors to the wall, fearing that such men carry eyes that can steal beauty or worse. Rituals abound. Magda spits thrice before each shift, muttering a curse against treachery. Elsbeth smears a line of ash beneath her left breast, a charm learned from her grandmother, or so she claims. Katrin lights a candle and prays to the Virgin. Though what saint would listen here is a question none dare voice. And even the youngest, like poor Greta, tie threads of red wool around their ankles, protection against unseen ills. You will be drawn into these rites whether you will it or no. To refuse an offered charm is to invite suspicion. To scorn another's talisman is to court their enmity. And in a house where alliances shift like smoke, such things matter. More than once, a careless jest has ended in a powder laced with herbs that sap strength, or a whispered curse that sees a girl shunned until misfortune drives her out. And yet, for all their crude simplicity, the charms serve a deeper purpose. They offer control where none exists. When you paint your face each night, you can hide fatigue, but not fear. When you lace your bodice, you cannot bind fortune. But when you knot a sprig of rue into your garter, when you whisper an old rhyme beneath your breath, you tell yourself that fate can be swayed, that perhaps tonight you will escape unmarked. Of course, Mamka tolerates it, to a point. She scoffs at the girls' rituals, calls them foolish, but does not forbid them. For even she knows that a girl who believes herself protected will stand straighter, smile brighter, and earn more coin. The line is drawn only at danger. No powders that harm, no charms that mark the house. Beyond that, she turns a blind eye, pocketing the coin from charm sellers as readily as any other. And so you will gather your own small hoard, a tarnished ring, a scrap of silk, a carved bone, each heavy with meaning beyond its worth. You will learn the old rhymes, the forbidden herbs, the signs in the wax of guttering candles. You will touch wood when death is named, count coins thrice before sleep, keep iron beneath your bed to ward off demons. For here, beneath the painted smiles and perfumed lies, every girl walks a knife's edge. And when flesh fails, and coin cannot buy safety, and prayers go unheard, sometimes a string of teeth, a knot of red thread, or a whispered charm is all that stands between you and the dark. And in this place, sometimes that is enough. If you thought that the life of a working girl in this house was miserable enough by the bruises on your skin or the stench in your hair, think again. There's another chain around your neck, heavier and harder to break than any grasping client's hand. The debt ledger. For in this place, the real master is not Mamka's glare nor the inspector's threats, but the sly arithmetic of coin and credit that binds you tighter with every passing night. You may walk, speak, even smile, but you are never free. Not in coin, not in name, not in life. It begins the moment you step through the door. Mamka greets you with a smirk and a promise of opportunity, then leads you to the dusty ledger kept behind her counter, a great, battered book with pages thick from grease and spilled ale. Your name is entered there, in spidery script, beneath columns of charges that begin before you've even drawn a breath in the house. Entry fee, she calls it, a tidy sum for the privilege of joining her establishment. Then come the charges for your welcome kit, the rags passed off as dresses, the cracked comb, the broken mirror shard tucked into your corner. Room and board is next. For the lumpy pallet in the attic, for the bowl of gray gruel, for the privilege of drawing water from the tainted well. And don't forget the house fee, a daily cut of every coin you earn, paid in advance, before you've taken your first. Client, you are deep in debt, and the debt only grows. Each cup of wine poured for a client is logged at twice its worth against your name. Every candle burned, Every drop of scented oil used, every scrap of ribbon for your hair, every thread of lace stitched to your bodice, all are added to the ledger. You will be told you can pay later out of earnings, but earnings are swallowed before they reach your pocket. For Mamka claims her share first. Of every coin a client presses into your palm, a fat percentage vanishes into hers. For the house, she says sweetly, for your protection, of what remains, another slice goes toward your debt. You are left with the dregs, enough to buy stale bread if you're lucky, or a thimble of rot gut to dull the ache in your bones. And beware the hidden fees. A broken cup, charged to you. A torn shift, replaced at thrice its worth. A bruise visible to a client, costing you an evening's work. You owe for the lost income. Fines appear without warning. For tardiness, for sour temper, for offending a highborn guest. One careless word can cost you a week's pay. One unlucky night can drive your debt so high you'll never climb free. And Mamka keeps the ledger religiously. Each evening, she summons the girls, one by one, to read their standing. You will stand before her counter, hands trembling, as she traces your debts with a gnarled finger. You earned 5 coppers, she will say. 3 to the house, 1 for expenses, 1 left, but you still owe for last week's wine. And for the new shoes, the total never shrinks. It grows, line upon line, until the numbers swim in your eyes. There are whispers of girls who tried to cheat the ledger, to hide coins, to lie about earnings. Foolish. Mamka's eyes miss nothing, and her fists, or those of her hired men, leave lasting reminders. One girl who dared to keep a hidden stash was dragged into the street, her belongings thrown after her. None helped her. None dared. Her screams echoed for days, a warning in every corner. Some try to buy freedom, to save enough to bargain for release, but the numbers do not lie. And the house always finds a way to add more. The girl who saves too fast suddenly owes for new dresses, for doctor's fees, for fines invented on a whim. Freedom is a mirage that recedes with every step. And so you will learn to live on scraps, to hide a coin here, a morsel there, to pray for a generous client, though they are rare, to scheme and bargain, to trade favors with the cook for an extra crust, with a stable boy for a swig of clean water. You will smile through the hunger, paint over the hollow cheeks, dance through the nights with lead in your belly and iron around your heart. And always the ledger waits. Its pages fill as surely as the wrinkles grow on your face. For here, in this place of painted lies, the truest lie of all is that the debt can be paid. The house feeds on hope, and the ledger is its sharpest fong. And you, like all the others, will bleed for it. 1 copper, 1 drop, 1 fading breath at a time. There are clients you can tolerate, clients whose breath stinks of sour ale, whose hands are clumsy, whose demands are crude but manageable. Clients who pay what they owe, grunt their way through an hour, and stagger off without leaving more than a bruise or 2. These you will learn to handle. You will pour their drinks, paint your smiles, and count the coins with steady fingers. But then there are the others, the ones whispered about in corners, whose very names draw a shudder from the girls, the bad clients. And sooner or later, no matter how careful you are, one of them will choose you. They come in many forms. The free man is among the most common, a swaggering fool convinced that his coin, or his station, or his fists buy him more than flesh. He will haggle down the price, press a thin purse in your hand, and then demand services never agreed upon. When you resist, the smile turns to sneer, the words to threats. You're lucky to have me, he'll say, I could take what I want. And sometimes he will. The law offers little comfort here, and Mamka, ever pragmatic, weighs the cost of losing a client against the suffering of a girl. More often than not, she turns a blind eye. Worse still are the rough players, those who come seeking not pleasure, but pain. They arrive sober, eyes gleaming with cruel intent. Their coin is good, their manners falsely sweet, until the door closes. Then the games begin. Pinches that bruise deep, bindings that cut, demands that leave the skin raw and the spirit broken. The older girls know them by sight and flee if they can. You, the younger, the newer, may not be so lucky. And when the bruises bloom and the blood stains your shift, Mamka will shrug. You earned your pay, she'll say. Be grateful. Then there are the truly dangerous ones. Men who do not come to play but to destroy. Drifters with cold eyes, soldiers fresh from battle with blood still under their nails, nobles in disguise hunting darker thrills. They do not bargain. They take. They leave girls battered, unconscious, sometimes worse. And when the sun rises, they are gone, beyond the reach of Mamka's threats or bribes, shielded by coin, rank, or the simple indifference of a city where life is cheap. You will learn to spot the signs, the too quiet voice, the way a hand lingers at a belt where a knife might hang, the glance that weighs you not as a woman, but as prey. You will learn to stall, to ply with drink, to call for another girl, to feign illness or sudden duty. Sometimes it works, sometimes it does not. And not all dangers come with a blade. Some come with lies. The sweet-tongued suitor promising riches, escape, love beyond the brothel's walls. Many a fool has fallen for such words, only to wake beaten and penniless in a gutter, her place in the house already filled. Trust no promise made in this place. Words are cheaper than the watered wine. And then there are those who pay nothing at all, the friends of the house, the cronies Mamka cannot refuse. They swagger in, swill the best wine, take what they want, and toss a wink on their way out. Complaints fall on deaf ears. Business is business. Mamka will say, keep them sweet. And so you will, teeth clenched, bruises hidden beneath fresh paint. Among the girls, defenses grow subtle. A sharpened hairpin hidden in the bodice. A vial of herbs slipped into a drink to dull a client's strength. Signals passed beneath the table. A cough, a knock, to summon help. But these are thin shields against true malice. And when the worst happens, as it will, you will find yourself alone, shivering in the cold light of dawn, counting the cost not in coin but in scars. And yet, you will endure, because to leave is death, because debts chain you tighter than any rope, because Mamka owns not just your body but your very place in the world. And so you will smile through split lips, laugh through broken ribs, paint over bruises, and pray to saints, to charms, to any power that will hear that the next client will be merely drunk, merely clumsy, merely unkind. For in this house, bad clients are not the exception. They are the rule. And survival is measured not in gold, but in how long you can stand beneath their weight without breaking. If you think survival here depends solely on looks or skill, you are sorely mistaken. In this house, reputation is the true currency, the invisible cloak that shields you or leaves you bare to the claws of rivals and clients alike. And reputation is not given. It is made twisted, spun like thread from the thinnest of lies and the loudest of whispers. You will learn soon enough that beneath the rouge and powder, the girls are engaged in a constant war, not of fists or blades, but of words. Reputation games are the most dangerous of all, for they strike unseen and leave wounds that bleed coin and standing long after the bruises fade. The first thing you must understand is that reputation here is not about truth. It is about perception. You could be the most skilled in the house, the most charming, the most beautiful. And if the right rumor takes hold, you will find your clients dwindling, your debts rising, your name spoken only with smirks. Likewise, a clever girl with no more than a crooked smile and a threadbare shift can climb high on a scaffold of well-placed lies and fawning tales. The tools of this trade are simple: tongues and ears. The house thrums with gossip, a river of words flowing from table to bed to attic and back again. Every glance is noted, every stumble whispered about, every coin counted not only by Mamka, but by the watching eyes of rivals. You will learn that to survive this tide, you must swim with it, and to rise, you must master its currents. Consider Magda. No longer the freshest face nor the smoothest skin, yet she commands the hearth's best table and draws the fattest purses. Why? Because she has spent years weaving her legend. Tales of noble lovers, whispered secrets known only to her, a reputation for dark, exotic skills no man dares ignore. Whether any of it is true matters not. The men believe it, and belief fills her purse. Or Elsbeth, plump and sharp-tongued, who plays the merry wench, the confidant of all. She listens as men boast and grumble, then spreads their words with careful twists, ensuring her name remains ever on their lips, and her rivals' names drip with scandal. One sly word, one raised brow, can turn a regular client cold to another girl without her knowing why. And Katrin, who crafts an air of untouchable grace. She lets rumors swirl, that she is of noble blood, that a powerful patron protects her, that to bed her is to taste forbidden fruit. She encourages such tales with calculated silences and well-timed sighs. In truth, she is as bound to Mamka's ledger as any of you. But illusion is her shield, and it serves her well. You, the newcomer, will enter this game whether you wish it or no. The moment you draw a client's eye, the whispers will begin. She's new. She's desperate. She's cursed. Some will seek to drag you down before you rise. Others will court your favor, hoping to ride your ascent. You must choose your words, your allies, your smiles with care. For one careless jest, one confidant betrayed, can see your standing shattered. The strategies are endless. Feigning mystery, letting slip that a wealthy man favors you, planting tales of another girl's sickness or cruelty, flattering clients so they sing your praises to others. Even the simplest acts, who sits where, who serves which table, are moves in this unending game of thrones beneath the cracked rafters. And Mamka? She watches amused. She knows that rivalry sharpens her girls, keeps them hungry, but she tolerates no foolishness that threatens profit, public fights, open slander. These she quashes with a hard slap or a boot. The wise girls learn to wage their wars in whispers behind painted smiles. You will soon understand that in this house, reputation feeds upon itself. The more you are spoken of, the more clients you draw. The more clients, the more coin. The more coin, the more power. And with power, you can shape the game in turn. But it is a fragile thing. One scandal, one well-placed lie, and all can crumble overnight. And so you will weave your own tale, thread by thread. Perhaps you will be the tragic beauty, or the fiery temptress, or the sweet innocent corrupted by cruel fate. It matters little what mask you choose, only that you wear it well and guard it fiercely. For here, beneath the rouge and rags, the real war is waged not in the bed, but in the mind, and those who master the reputation games do not merely survive, they rule, at least until the next whisper blows them down. If you think life within these four filthy walls is perilous, imagine now the city beyond, a tangle of winding streets and darker intrigues, where every brothel is a petty kingdom, and every madam a queen with her own crooked court. You may think that the girls here war only among themselves, but you would be wrong, for beyond these doors lies another battlefield, one of rival brothels. And the wars waged there are no less vicious than those fought with knives or ledgers. In this world, Enemy is not only the girl at your elbow, but the house 2 streets over, or the one by the river, or the grander den beneath the shadow of the church. And make no mistake, you are cannon fodder in this unseen war. The first lesson you will learn is that clients are prey, and prey must be hunted. Each brothel lays claim to certain haunts. A corner of the market, a favored tavern, a stretch of the docks. And when a man strays, stepping beneath the wrong eave or into the wrong alley, the battle begins. Girls are sent out as lures, sweet-faced, painted bright, to charm, cajole, and draw coin away from rival coffers. You will be told to do the same. To flirt in taverns, to praise your house's delights in. Whispered tones, to accidentally spill wine upon the lap of a wealthy fool and guide him back to Manka's embrace. And the rivals do likewise. You will return from the market with your basket lightened, not only of food, but of favors whispered by strange girls in finer lace, promising better beds, softer hands, fewer debts. And if a client frequents your house too often, you can be sure he'll be courted, flattered, perhaps drugged and dragged to another's fold. Loyalty is bought cheaply here, with sweeter wine, younger faces, or darker promises. The warfare does not end with whispers. There are raids, though never openly called so. Rival girls sent in disguise to sit at your tables and spread slander. Did you hear? A girl here died of the pox. The inspector has Mamka in his pocket. They water the wine with piss. Such words spread faster than plague. And clients, ever superstitious, vanish with them. You will see nights when the house stands half empty, the girls pacing and hissing, cursing unseen tongues. And sometimes the war grows physical. One dawn you will find the house's sign ripped down, smeared with filth, or broken glass strewn across the threshold. A dead rat nailed to the door. Such messages are clear enough, and Mamka will retaliate in kind, sending her own shadows to repay insult with greater insult. You will hear of girls beaten in alleys, of accidents on the stairs of rival houses. And you will walk faster when crossing their turf, eyes wary, steps swift. Spies are everywhere. The cook's niece who sweeps the floor may carry tales to another madam. The boy who brings candles may slip notes with them. Even among the girls, there are those who sell gossip for a pouch of coin. You will trust no one. Secrets whispered in the attic may soon echo through the streets. And woe betide the girl whose loose tongue cost the house a favored patron. For Mamka's punishment is swift and without mercy. Alliances shift like sand. 1 month, Mamka may strike a truce with the house by the docks, exchanging courtesies and clients. The next, a slight, real or imagined, will shatter it. And in the chaos that follows, it is the girls who suffer most, caught in fights they did not choose, bruised for slights they never made. You will learn to navigate these tides with care, to smile when told to smile, to bite your tongue when old grudges flare anew. And amid it all, the great irony remains. In public, the madams preach sisterhood, the girls feign kinship, even as they plot each other's downfall. At festivals, you may dance beside rivals, exchange polite words, drink spiced wine with wary eyes. But beneath the lace and laughter, daggers gleam. For in this world, every house hungers for the other's spoils, and no truce lasts forever. And you? You will play your part. You will spy and lie, flatter and scheme, as commanded. You will defend your house's name with painted smile and sharpened wit. For to do otherwise is to fall behind, to lose clients, to lose coin, to lose your place. In this game, there are no innocents, only survivors. And if you survive long enough, you will learn this truth. In the war of rival brothels, there are no queens, only pawns who have yet to be sacrificed. You might think you know the dangers of this place by now, that the worst to be feared comes with coin in hand and lust in the eyes, that behind each client's leer lies the sharpest threat. But there is another breed of peril that slips through the crooked door, uninvited, unannounced, and twice as volatile. Unexpected visitors. And when they come, no powder, no paint, no polished smile will shield you. There are storms in flesh, and when they strike, the house trembles. They come in many forms. First and most feared among them, the wronged wife. You will hear her before you see her. Boots pounding the cobbles, voice like a hunting horn. The door slams open, and in she bursts, skirts flying, eyes wild, hair undone. In one hand, perhaps a broom, a rolling pin, or a kitchen knife. In the other, a crumpled token, a ribbon, a scrap of lace, a note from her faithless husband. Her target is clear. The girl who shared his bed, whether willingly or not. And if that girl is you, you will flee fast, for no fury matches that of a wife scorned before her neighbors. Behind her may come the gaggle of gossips, eager to witness scandal, to clutch pearls and whisper of sin. Their tongues are sharper than blades, their glances knives that cut through paint and pretense. They will hiss curses, call for the guard, demand Mamka shut her house. Of course, by week's end, some of them will slip through the door themselves, veils drawn low, coin pressed tight in clammy hands. Then there are the mothers, faces lined with shame and fury, seeking wayward sons or daughters lured to ruin. Some come with tears, begging rescue. Others with fists, ready to drag the disgraced home by hair or collar. You will see girls sobbing in corners after such visits, hope shattered, debts unpaid, their place in the house gone in a single, brutal moment. Not all visitors come with wrath. Some arrive cloaked in sorrow, widows, drunk on grief and sour wine, seeking to lose themselves in forgetfulness. They pay poorly, if at all, but Mamka rarely turns them away. Their misery draws coin from pitying clients. You will sit with them, hold trembling hands, endure tearful confessions of dead husbands and lost children. Their touch is cold, their breath heavy with despair. They seek no pleasure, only the numbness of another's arms. And then, the strangest visitors, bastard children, now grown, seeking mothers they never knew, wide-eyed boys, girls clutching worn trinkets, faces hopeful and afraid. Mamka greets them coldly. No mothers here, she says, only workers, but still they come, year after year, peering through smoky halls, hoping for a smile of recognition. Few find it. Fewer still are welcomed. For in this place, past ties are shackles best left broken. And always there are the hunters, bailiffs with writs, seeking debtors in hiding. Angry fathers, seeking runaway daughters. Jealous lovers, daggers drawn, ready to spill blood over imagined slights. Their entry brings silence, a collective breath held tight. Mamka meets them with coin or threat, whichever the moment demands. But sometimes, steel speaks louder than silver, and blood stains the floor before peace is bought. In such moments, the house is a hive of motion. Girls vanish behind curtains, scurry through back passages, scatter beneath the floorboards. You will learn these paths well. For when trouble comes, it is not courage that saves you. It is speed and the wisdom to stay unseen. Yet for all the fear they bring, these visitors also feed the house's legend. Tales of wives dragging husbands by the ear, of mothers cursing the rafters, of duels fought in the courtyard. These stories spread, drawing new clients hungry for danger and drama. Mamka knows this well. She allows just enough scandal to ferment, never enough to boil over. The house must remain notorious, but open. And you? You will learn to read the shifting winds, the sudden hush of the room, The glance exchanged between veteran girls, the stiffening of Mamka's shoulders, signs that an unexpected guest approaches. When they do, you will act. Averted eyes, careful steps, a swift retreat if needed. And when the storm passes, you will smooth your skirts, repaint your smile, and return to the floor as though nothing had happened. For in this place, unexpected visitors are part of the dance. They come and go, their chaos woven into the house's tapestry of sin. And if you are wise, you will weave yourself through it, unseen, untouched, still standing when the door slams shut once more. If there is one thing more feared than a bad client, more dreaded than a rival girl's whispered slander, it is the moment when Mamka announces with grim satisfaction, "The doctor is coming." For in this place, the arrival of a healer brings not hope, but cold sweat and clenched teeth. The doctor's visit is not salvation. It is a grim theater, part bloodletting, part charlatanry, part cruel spectacle. And when it is done, the house may stand lighter in purse and shorter in number. The doctor, of course, is no such thing in the eyes of any true physician. No university man stoops to treat women of the trade. Instead, Mamka employs a revolving cast of quacks, barber surgeons, hedge healers, and the occasional wizened midwife whose hand are steadier than her eyes. Each comes with their own bag of tricks. Knives too dull, jars of leeches, bundles of foul-smelling herbs, bottles of colored water sold as cure-alls. And each comes with one certainty. Whatever they do, it will cost more than it heals. You will hear of the visit a day before. Mamka will call the girls down, eyes cold. "Doctor's here tomorrow. All of you, clean yourselves. There is no choice. To refuse is to mark yourself as diseased, a risk Mamka will not tolerate. You will scrub till your skin peels, powder your sores, bind your breasts to hide swelling, do anything to seem hale, for once the doctor lays eyes on you, their word is law. One whispered suspicion, pox, wasting sickness, madness of the blood, and your fate is sealed. On the appointed day, the house falls silent. No laughter, no chatter. The older girls vanish into corners, faces pale beneath their rouge. Magda mutters charms, rubbing salt into her palms. Elsbeth drinks a concoction of wine and garlic, swearing it wards off illness. Katrin wears her finest gown, daring the doctor to see weakness. You will tremble, heart racing, gut churning with fear stronger than any client ever brought. And then the doctor arrives, a figure in stained robes, sleeves rolled to elbows, eyes sharp with greed. The tools they carry are objects of dread. Knives crusted from past use, needles blackened with age, leech jars pulsing with sluggish life. The doctor makes no effort at comfort. You are lined up like cattle, one by one called in the back room, where the cold light of a single window lays bare all that paint and powder conceal. The examination is brutal. A rough hand pulls at your shift, prods bruises, lifts lids, forces your mouth open. Questions come sharp and fast. When did you last bleed? Does it burn when you pass water? Have you seen sores? No answer will save you. Too quick a denial draws suspicion. Too hesitant a reply invites closer inspection. You will learn to lie with care, to feign health beneath the gaze of eyes that seek fault. And when fault is found, for it always is, the cure begins. Bloodletting is the favored choice. A slice of the arm, the ankle, the groin, as the doctor declares the humors unbalanced. The blood runs hot and thick, leaving you dizzy, faint, barely able to stand. Good, the doctor will say. The sickness leaves with the blood. You will know better, or perhaps it is leeches, cold, wriggling things pressed to your skin, sucking greedily as you bite your lip to keep from screaming. When they fall bloated, they are praised as proof of cleansing, or herbal purges, Ball brews that twist your belly, leave you vomiting for hours. Some girls collapse after such treatment. Some do not rise again. And through it all, the ledger grows. For every slice of knife, every drop of oil, every pinch of herb, Mamka charges you. For your health, she says sweetly, adding the sum to your debt. You will leave the room poorer, weaker, but smiling, because to show fear invites further inspection and worse, exclusion. For girls deemed beyond cure do not linger. Mamka cannot afford the stain on her house's name. The unlucky are dismissed in the night, their debts erased with a shrug, and their lives with them. You will see their empty pallets, hear no more of them save whispered warnings. She had the pox. She was mad. She bled too much. And you will work harder to hide your own ills. And when the doctor leaves, purse heavy, house bruised, life resumes, as it must. The girls drag themselves to the washroom, scrub at wounds that may yet fester, powder new marks. Clients return, none the wiser, and Mamka smiles, ledger fat with fresh debts. You too will return to the floor, weaker but standing, knowing that in this place the doctor's visit is not a mercy, is a test, one you must pass again and again, with skin unbroken and spirit unbowed. For here, beneath the painted masks, survival is not a matter of health. It is a matter of not being seen as sick. If you believe that the girls in this house stand as equals, shoulder to painted shoulder beneath Mamka's ever-watchful gaze, you know nothing of the cruel arithmetic that governs such places. For here, among the chipped goblets and worm-eaten beams, one truth reigns above all. Youth is coin, and age is debt. The young and the old do not simply differ in years. They live in different worlds, their paths crossing only in rivalry, pity, or bitter calculation. And if you linger long enough, you will see this grim dance play out step by weary step until you yourself must choose which part you will play. The young arrive bright-eyed, full of naive hopes that the older girls mock behind tight smiles. Fresh from the country, or fleeing failed homes, or sold outright by grasping fathers. They cross the threshold clutching bundles of threadbare clothes and thinner dreams. At first they draw eyes, both from clients and rivals. Youth sells, after all, smooth skin, bright laughter, the false blush of innocence. These are Mamka's stock in trade. The new girl is paraded, polished, pressed into the choicest shifts, sent to the best lit corners of the room. Clients bid high, hoping to be the first to claim her, and the older girls watch, knowing that every coin she earns is one less for them. Do not mistake this for kindness. Mentorship here is a poison chalice. The old will offer advice, how to smile, how to pour the wine, how to feign pleasure, but woven through each word is warning. Do not rise too fast, do not outshine us. For every girl who climbs too high, too swiftly, draws envy sharper than any blade. Ribbons go missing, dresses are slashed, clients whispered away by tongues honeyed with malice. The young must learn to balance, to shine just enough to please Mamka, but not so brightly as to eclipse the veterans. And the old? They are the ghosts of the house, their beauty faded beneath layers of powder, their voices grown hoarse from smoke and strain. They haunt the corners, clutching at what scraps of favor remain. A few, like Magda, command respect through cunning and cruelty. They wield reputation like a dagger, ensuring that no young thing dares cross them lightly. Others scrape by, luring the drunk and the desperate, trading tenderness for coin when a lure alone will no longer serve. But all know the clock is ticking. In this house, there is no gentle decline, only the edge of a cliff. One day you're sought after, the next you are overlooked. Clients drift to newer faces. Mamka's glance grows colder, Your place at the table edges nearer the drafty door. The debts remain, of course, mounting as your earnings dwindle, and then begins the final descent. Some cling, offering rarer charms, experience mature delights to those with such tastes, a thin market. Others shift to menial roles, cleaning, mending, serving in the shadows. Less coin, more scorn. And for the unluckiest, there is only the street, cast out when they can no longer turn enough profit to justify their place. You will hear of them sometimes. A familiar face glimpsed begging by the docks. A body found frozen in an alley come winter. No names are spoken. Mamka keeps her. House for the living, not the lost. And through it all, the dance between young and old grinds on. The young fear becoming the old. The old resent the young for what they once were. Friendships are rare, brittle things, cracked by envy and desperation. A moment of kindness may flicker, a shared cloak on a cold night, a whispered warning of a dangerous client. But such gestures fade beneath the grind of survival. You will watch this cycle unfold. You'll be the bright-eyed girl drawing stares. You'll hear the whispers, feel the older gazes weighing you. And if you last, you'll feel the tide turn. The first time a client chooses another, the first time Mamka sighs and assigns you to a poorer corner. You'll powder more heavily, lace tighter, smile harder. But the house knows. The house remembers. And time, in this place, is an enemy no charm or coin can turn. And one day, perhaps sooner than you think, you will wake to find yourself among the old, watching as a new girl crosses the threshold, eyes wide, skin fresh, laughter still untainted. And you will smile, thin and sharp, and murmur, "She won't last." For that, in this house, is the closest thing to prophecy. For all the chains that bind the girls of this house, debts inked in ledgers, bruises worn beneath powder, the hunger that gnaws beneath painted smiles, none is tighter than the belief that there is no way out. Yet still, now and again, a flicker of foolish hope will catch in the breast of some girl, a dream that beyond these walls lies freedom, a life where skin is not bought and youth is not sold by the hour. And so they try to run, some quietly, some in desperate flurries, some with cunning schemes whispered in the dark. But make no mistake, most fail, and failure here is paid in blood and worse. The house watches for such dreams. Mamka knows the signs. A girl growing restless, hoarding coin too fiercely, asking too many questions about the city's far corners, a dress packed too neatly, a glance too often toward the door. The older girls watch too, not out of kindness, but for gain. Inform Mamka of a flight planned, and you might earn a lighter debt, a better table, a rare coin pressed cold and heavy into your palm. But still they try. Some plot long, stashing coppers beneath loose floorboards, currying favor with a sympathetic cook or stable boy. They wait for nights when Mamka is distracted, when the watch is drunk, when a festival draws the crowds thin. Then, shawl wrapped tight, heart hammering, they slip into the alley's shadows, thinking, foolishly, that the city is kind to lone girls with no coin and fewer friends. Others are less patient. A quarrel with Mamka, a brutal night with a client, a sickness too deep to hide, and flight becomes a desperate lunge. No plan, no money, only the raw instinct to flee. They bolt through back doors, across rooftops, through markets, heedless of pursuit. But Mamka has ears in every tavern, eyes in every alley. The city's underbelly feeds on such prey. And when the runners are caught, as most are, they return not of their own will, but dragged, beaten, half dead. And what then? Mamka is not forgiving. A girl who runs once is marked forever. If she is valuable, she may be kept, but broken first. Days locked in a dark cell, bread and water, lashes counted in dozens, a public lesson served before the house to remind all what escape earns. The bruises fade, the scars remain, and the spirit is bent, if not snapped. More often, the failed are cast out, debts unpaid, left to the wolves of the street. And in this city, such wolves are many. Now and then, a girl succeeds, rarer than rain in high summer, but happens. A clever one, with friends beyond the house, a lover with coin or a false merchant's promise, smuggled out in a cart beneath fish nets, or spirited away in the dead of night by a bribed guard. When word of such a flight reaches the house, it spreads like fire. For a day, the girls whisper of hope, of roads that lead beyond Mamka's reach. But hope is a fragile thing. Soon the whispers turn to warnings. She won't last. The city's too harsh. And indeed, most such runaways are seen again. Battered, thin, eyes hollow, returned by a rival madam who bought their debt, or found dead in an alley, throat cut by thieves who care not for dreams. For the world beyond these walls is no kinder than the one within, only colder with fewer rules. You will see it unfold. You will hear the rustle of gossip in the attic when another girl vanishes. You will feel the shift in Mamka's gaze, the tightening of her grip on the rest. Extra watchmen at the doors, new locks on the chests, harsher fines for those caught whispering of freedom. For every girl who flees, 10 others are lashed tighter to the house's heart. And in time, you will weigh your own chains. You will count your coin, measure your debts, gaze long at the moonlit streets beyond the shutters. And you will wonder, as all do, whether flight is worth the price, whether freedom beyond is any truer than the painted lies within, whether the risk of failure is one your battered spirit can bear. Most will stay, some from fear, some from wisdom, some because the house, for all its cruelty, is a known evil, and known evils wound less than unknown ones. But a few, reckless, desperate, or simply too young to know better, will always try, and the cycle will turn anew. For in this place, escape is a dream sold more dearly than any flesh, and one that too often ends in ruin. If you imagine that life in a brothel is one unchanging misery beneath candlelight and rouge, think again. Even here, beneath the sagging beams and smoke-thick air, the changing seasons creep in, shaping every breath, every bruise, every desperate hour. You will feel them in your bones long before you see them through the grimy windows. And no season is kind. Each brings its own brand of suffering, a fresh parade of woes to layer atop the old. In this house, the year does not turn, it grinds. Spring, when it comes, arrives not with flowers but with floods. The melting snows turn streets to rivers of filth. The stench of the city, which in winter froze beneath a crust of ice, now rises anew, thick as soup. The house itself swells with damp. Floorboards buckle, walls weep with moisture. Mold blooms in corners you swore were clean. Clients arrive soaked and foul-tempered, trailing mud across threadbare carpets. And with them come plagues of fleas and lice, breeding with a vengeance. No amount of vinegar, no sprig of rue tucked into your bodice will hold them at bay. You scratch in your sleep, in your shifts, in the arms of men who pay too little and take too much. Summer is no better. The heat turns the house into an oven. Paint melts beneath sweat. Rouge runs in rivulets. Gowns cling to clammy skin. The air grows thick with the ripe scent of unwashed bodies, sour wine, stale blood. Flies buzz in droves, drawn to the dregs of last night's revels. The girls fight over fans and the scant breeze by the open window. Clients, too, grow more savage in the heat. Tempers flaring, rough hands grasping with drunken strength. And beneath it all stirs the shadow of summer sickness. Fevers that burn through the house like wildfire. One cough, one faint in the attic, and the whispers begin. Beds are stripped. Girls vanish upstairs, fevered and shaking. Some return, others do not. Autumn brings momentary relief. Cool winds that cut the stench, rain that scours the filth from the stones. But with it comes the lean season. Harvest draws the peasants home. Coin thins, the city's purse tightens. Fewer clients cross the threshold, and those who do bring little silver and rougher manners. Fights break out more often, over scraps of food, over debt. The girls grow hollow-eyed. Hunger gnaws beneath corsets that no longer need to be laced so tight. Mamka watches like a hawk, ledger ever open, debts piling faster than coin. And in the shadows, the first chill of winter begins to creep beneath the door. Then comes winter, the cruelest season of all. The hearts burn low, wood rationed to save coin. Breath clouds in the air, even indoors. The girls sleep wrapped in every scrap of cloth they own, huddled like mice in the attic's drafty corners. Water freezes in the bowls. Fingers crack and bleed from the cold. And still the work does not stop. Clients come, fewer, meaner, desperate for warmth of any kind. They reek of smoke and wet wool. Their hands ice cold against bare skin. Illness runs, rampant. Coughs that shake the ribs, chills that steal breath. The week falls swiftly. More than one girl does not see the thaw. Her palette is stripped, her debts scratched from the ledger with a sigh and a glance toward the next wide-eyed waif who will soon replace her. And so the wheel turns. You will mark time not by dates, but by the miseries each season brings. You will know spring by the itch of lice, summer by the stink of sweat-soaked silks, autumn by the ache of an empty belly, winter by the rawness of frostbitten toes. There is no respite, no season of ease, only variations on the theme of survival. And through it all, Mamka stands unchanged, ledger steady, gaze sharp, always ready to remind you. Work must be done, whatever the weather. You will hear her voice as you paint cracked lips in winter's chill, as you pour sour wine in summer's haze. Seasons may change, but the house remains greedy, grinding, eternal. And you will endure as the others do. You will scratch, sweat, shiver, starve, and smile through it all. For here, beneath the rotting beams and flickering candlelight, there is no spring of hope, no summer of joy, no autumn of peace, no winter of rest. There is only the endless, turning year, and you, trapped within it. And now, if you have lasted this long, bruised, painted, bled, and bent, but still breathing, you will begin to see the truth that underlies this place more clearly than any painted smile or silvered lie. It never ends. The brothel is not merely a house of flesh. It is a machine of hunger, grinding through girl after girl, year after year, without pause, without pity, without memory. You think you suffer uniquely, that your bruises ache deeper, your tears fall south here. But look around, and you will see you are not the first, and you will not be the last. For in this place, the cycle is endless. You will see it first in the new arrivals. Barely a month will pass before another girl is led through the door, thin, pale, clutching her meager belongings, eyes wide with a mix of fear and hope that has not yet been crushed. You will remember those eyes. You wore them yourself not so long ago. She will be greeted with the same mixture of false kindness and veiled threat you once received. Dressed in a hastily patched shift, powdered too pale, paraded before the clients like fresh meat. And you, watching from your usual place, will feel a sick twist. Part relief that the eyes have shifted from you, part shame at how quickly such relief comes. And as the new girl stumbles through her first shift, as she learns the taste of cheap wine, the sting of rough hands, the weight of debt, you will understand. The house does not care who you are. Names fade, faces blur. You are only as good as your coin, and once that dwindles, you are replaced. You have seen it already. The pallet that was Marge's, now empty. Brunhild's dress, now worn by a newer girl. The stories of Freya or Ilsa whispered only when the drink flows deep. Gone. Forgotten, and so will you be in time. Mamka remains eternal. Her face perhaps lined a touch more, her hair streaked with another thread of gray, but her gaze sharp as ever, her ledger growing thicker. She sees the girls come and go like tides. There is no affection in her glance, no sorrow when one vanishes. If asked, she will shrug. Couldn't handle it, she'll say, another will come. And indeed, they do. The river of the desperate never dries. Fathers still drink too much. Mothers still sell daughters. Fools still chase false promises to the city. There will always be another girl ready to step into your worn shoes. And so the wheel turns. The fresh girls become weary. The weary become desperate. The desperate disappear. And new blood fills the gaps. The furniture changes little. The candles burn the same. The ledger always balances in Mamka's favor. The clients rarely notice, rarely care. For to them, one painted face is much like another. They come seeking flesh, not names. And you, if you live long enough, will feel the wheel grind beneath your feet. You will look at your hands and see the lines deepening, the tremble that was not there a year ago. You will hear a client call you older and feel the cut of it sharper than any knife. And you will know, as all do, that the house will not mourn you when you are gone. Another will take your place before your scent has faded from the sheets. Some girls fool themselves. They whisper of saving enough to leave, of marriage to a kindly client, of starting anew. You will hear these tales, will perhaps tell them yourself once. But deep down, you will know, for most, the house is the only life they will ever know. And when they vanish, to sickness, to madness, to the street, the house will go on. The curtains will be drawn anew. The paint will be freshened. Another wide-eyed girl will walk through the door, as you once did. And Mamka will greet her with the same smile, the same ledgers, the same sharp eye. The clients will raise their cups. The girls will whisper behind their hands. And the endless cycle will continue. For in this place, time devours all, and the house always hungers for more.